Hello there, many thanks for joining us on our Monday Business News Report. It's now time to bring you the feature on the show today. Now, the Nigerian Communications Commission on Sunday said the phone numbers not linked to a national identity number will remain barred from making calls until the affected subscribers obey the directive. Now, a statement by the Commission told telecom consumers whose subscriber identity model, that's their SIM cards, are barred from making calls that affected SIMs will not be unbarred by the service providers until they're linked with the national identification numbers of the SIM holders. The Nigerian government too had ordered telecommunication operators to restrict customers who are yet to link their NIN to their SIM cards from making calls. Now, the directive took effect from the 4th of this month after affected customers were disconnected from the communication networks. Now, the action, which left many Nigerians affected and disorganized, was part of government's efforts to fight insecurity in the country. Now, after the 10th extension of the deadline since December 2020, over 72 million Nigerians are affected and also prevented from making calls. Well, joining me now virtually to discuss this and much more, I have information technology expert Mujib Ishola. Thank you very much for joining us on the Breakfast Show this morning, Mujib.
Good morning.
Now, what do you make of the plot of events that have trailed the NIN SIM card linkage process so far, with all the extension of deadlines and now the barring of well over 72 million lines? Yet it's commendable to see government take seriously issues of national identity and using this data to advance its development agenda. But do you think this register or get blocked tactic is a sustainable means of data collection and utilization?
It is definitely not. The entire process could have gone better, right? Right now, there's a lot of chaos with the way the policy has been implemented. On both sides, both from the policymakers and us as the citizens as well, the entire process could have gone on. Like you mentioned, the time required for this process to have been completed has been pushed forward several times, and it just didn't get done. And we're at a point where we all know we're in the digital age, and digital identity is very, very important to pushing the economy and the society forward. So it's something that needed to happen. But the way and manner in which it has been implemented could have been better if you had applied some project management principles. This could have been avoided to a very large extent. If you understand how the infrastructure is when it comes to telecommunications, right? Different telcos have different systems, meaning that the policies to link the identity numbers to the SIM systems would be different, right? Yes, I agree that the time that has been given should have been enough to, allow this chaos pass without even happening. The reality is collaboration, communication, and good, a better project management approach could have avoided this from the government and the telco stakeholder part. But from the citizenry's part as well, we had all the time. Let me not say we had all the time, because COVID actually complicated the entire process. If you remember, when the 2 weeks deadline was given, it was during COVID period, and that introduced a lot more chaos into getting the SIMs and the NINs registered. Technology could have been used in a better way to avoid this as well, because some of this data are available in one form or the other. We just, haven't matured in terms of implementing policies and implementing systems to the levels where we could have taken advantage of those data available.
Mujib, I'd like to button here, especially with that note you just pointed out, that we need to see better synchronization of data. Take, for example, in advanced climes, they have a bigger pool of information well synchronized. This is looking at a bigger leverage on technology, especially within data collection and analysis, and even for registration processes. These, in advanced climes, are a continuous process. Registration does not have a stop and stop or get blocked timeline. It's almost continuous. There's that open opportunity for people to be able to register irrespective of whatever timeline you decide to catch in. But what are the takeoffs now do you see us missing, and how much of a game changer do you really see if we had had a much more seamless leverage on technology and human capital within the tech space to get more results? Because we have a booming and a young budding team of tech players who could actually help in terms of having much more strategic softwares. We've seen instances where we've had, all because of the rush of data collection, softwares have crashed. How do you see us leveraging on the tech space, the value chain, and the human capital that ought to drive this sort of developmental agenda?
Okay, a lot to unpack, right? When you talk about other clients, it's about maturity and the time, right? The other clients have had a time to get to the point where the systems are more structured. We're at a point where we've seen the light in saying that you can't just keep collecting data without some harmonization and centralization in a manner that it can be used to drive the economy. We have to continually improve. There's no two ways about it. Yes, technology could have been better used to solve this problem, but we started from, we started 2 steps behind, meaning that the different sectors, banking sector, some part of government, have attempted to solve this problem in their own way, right? Without necessarily having an overview, a global overview in terms of what this would mean for the Nigeria as a whole, right? But some of the problems were solved from in the banking sector, in the government sector. But this is an opportunity to actually harmonize that data. And if you look at what NIMSI has done with to date, it's actually improving day by day. Yes, there's chaos, but we can't discount the improvements as well. If you think about the NDPR and the tokenization service that is currently being used in this exercise, it's something commendable, right? We're moving forward. So yes, technology could have been better used, but you have to understand that we're not starting from a clean base. And if you remember the SIM registration process of the past, where even we as citizens were taking pictures of goats and trees as identity pictures, the data is currently in a mess. And this is an attempt to centralize that and to clean that data up. Again, it's about continual improvement and understanding where we're coming from and where we're going.
And now, in terms of understanding where we're coming from and then where we would like to be, you've made mention of the fact that we've had the likes of the BVNs, now the NINs. Not so many people are optimistic that we'll see a bigger synchronization of data. There's still going to be another identification number. There's a school of thought that are already proposing this theory. But do you think government's body language today is one that takes cognizance of the shift in the global economy, as we have the Internet of Things and then emergent sectors like the cryptocurrency market take center stage? We seem to be lagging behind, irrespective of our drive and individual achievement of talents in the country within the private sector. How do you see these fault lines slow our economic recovery and catch up with opportunities that prevail, especially within the tech ecosystem?
Slow the growth. It's going to be difficult to predict that. If I'm going to use all the data that I've seen, it's not likely to do much. It's just going to be a short time, impact on what is happening if we follow the process properly. We've been talking about financial inclusion and economic inclusion. This is actually one of the ways we can achieve that, because if you do not know who you are empowering, then what exactly are you trying to achieve, right? So this is one of the first steps to achieving some of the goals that we've set out. If you think about how technology is currently being used today, you talked about IoT, you talked about payment systems. Think about embedded finance, right? Embedded finance and finance in itself, right, is based on identity, knowing who your customer is or what business you're connecting with. So it's all rest on identity. Is it going to slow things down in the short term whilst people do the linking and the registration that is required? But in the long term, it is going to be positive because, if you could get included as part of, say, the payment ecosystem or the healthcare system, it's better for us as a whole. In the end, it's about continual improvement. Like I said, it's also about understanding where we are and where we're going. And again, government just talking to people, collaboration, communication, and and all that.
Thank you so much for your time on the Breakfast Show this morning, Mujib Ishola. It's been a pleasure speaking with you, and we hope we have a seamless registration process going forward. Thank you once again.